every time One Piece has a chapter, it's top 3. It hasn't been outside the top 3 in a long time. My Hero's historically top 5. JDK's historically top 4. Sakamoto Days is also in the top 6-ish. So manga that is either entering the final stages or in the final stages are mostly in the top 10. Which is also kind of like, dang, I'm not in One Piece realm, so I get canceled. I think that's kind of that's a harsh. It is a harsh standard, but they're trying to the success they saw with One Piece and Naruto and Bleach. They're like, we need that again. So you need to.
I think once you start chasing it, though, that's a problem.
Well, I'm saying, do you think Kagura?
That intro is hilarious, but for B.S.S news, I want to talk about Dear Anemone, which recently was canceled. And the reason I want to talk about this is because we're trying to figure out what's the next big manga that's going to take over when One Piece and JDK, all that stuff, like eventually goes away. And a lot of stories have been getting canceled recently, and I think I have a stat to show which mangas are more likely to get canceled or not. And there's a site that basically does the weekly Shonen Jump rankings, and me and some people at Slingshot, we deduced that typically stories that rank outside the top 10, more specifically outside the top 15, will eventually get canceled. So I want to read you guys some of the Shonen Jump rankings for Dear Anemone. Chapter 1 was it ranked number 1, then number 6, then number 10, then number 8, then number 10, then number 9. Pretty solid start, but then it went to 12, 17, 17, 18, 20, 19, 19, 20, 20, 19, 19. Based on those rankings, historically, it was more than likely going to get canceled. And I have my personal reasons why I think it did. And I think that only a few manga can probably get away with their rankings slipping to the point where they can still have some sort of continuation, like maybe like a Chain Summer or Bleach, for example. Like after, like during like the Fullbringer arc, Bleach rankings dropped outside the top 10, like for the rest of the way. But because Bleach had so much success up front, Kubo was allowed to at least finish the story instead of getting such a hard cut. So I think that a lot of these stories, for them to really solidify themselves, they have to have a really, really hot start, like a Sakamoto Days, like a My Hero Academia. They got to get in that top 10 because Shonen Jump is very cutthroat for good reason, because they're trying to find the next heavy hitter, right? So I want to see what you guys thought about that. What do you guys think about how stories, what do you think is the biggest reason why some of these stories may be getting ranked lower than others? I personally have some thoughts on that, but I want to see what you guys think. And what do you guys think of that ranking system in general? Like, do you think that if a manga is getting historically ranked outside the top 15, that should just immediately be canceled? Like, what do you guys thoughts about that?
How long did Dear Anemone run for?
It ran for 17 chapters.
So about 4 months.
Cool.
About 4 months.
Point,
and then at chapter 7 is when it ranked outside the top 10 for the first time. So it went 10 weeks outside the top 10.
I think they gave it, like, you say, hey man, you've had a couple weeks of slippage. We're gonna give you like basically a month to get this right and get back to where at least somewhere to where you were. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't do it, even though we were all fans of what the author was coming up with. So I think Riddell brought it up about the little things that Japan just didn't like about it, but I felt like a lot of Western fans really liked. So maybe it's some story tropes, maybe it was the overall idea of evolution itself, but I thought they were something really good there, especially with the recent string of success of failures that they were having. Well, even at one point, Riddell, every week we try to read a chapter of something. He was bad.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, there's usually a variety of reasons. I think one reason that Ty definitely brought up, which could be, I'm still hesitant when it comes to Dear Anemone, but like obviously an appealing plot point with the main character right from the jump. I think Ty used the phrase in Core Wound is a big like thing that grasps the attention of viewers. So I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. I've seen, like, I usually read the first chapter of like a lot of these manga that appear in the Shonen Jump app to kind of see what I feel. There's another new manga that just dropped, pure comedy. It's the yokai manga that just dropped. First chapter just dropped, and it's basically a comedy manga where there's a yokai like exorcist who's afraid of everything, and then there's this kind of sarcastic dude that just is like too real about stuff, and he kind of makes fun of the yokai or is just like super upfront and criticizes all of his lore, and that's how they take down the yokai. I'm like, this is a comedy manga. It doesn't sound appealing to me, but maybe it appeals to Japan and what they like to do, their comedy style, the appeal of yokai in Japanese lore. Maybe it will survive that. So there's so many different manga out there. And at the end of the day, I do think as of right now, which is why I've said this before, that the core audience is Japan. So you have to appeal to Japan wants first and foremost. And then after you pass the Japan threshold, will determine how big you become. Like once you get into the rest of the world. And I feel like Shonen Jump, after all these big manga are gone, I don't think they'll have the stranglehold that they do now, where everything is decided basically on Japan, because all these other new creators and their cultures and all that stuff will start playing into effect, saying this is kind of a new wave. But as of right now, I mean, it really depends on what Japan likes at the end of the day. Because I've seen some manga that I'm like, I don't like at all, but it survives. And I was like, I mean, this is just what Japan likes. So
I think. Oh, go ahead. But
my thing was, I think doesn't Shonen Jump have this place where they put manga online, manga that they weren't really.
I was about to get
like
manga plus.
Yeah, so places where they weren't really sure. Like, ironically, one of the biggest successes was Spy Family. They put Spy Family online because they weren't sure it was going to sell, and then the numbers were so great online, they had to put it in the actual manga or the actual book, and the rest is history. So I wonder why they just outright cancel instead of trying to see, because I think that would have had a cult following of people to read that every week. And sorry, Ty, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think to a certain extent they are taking into account, because Kagurabachi was on a similar trajectory as Dear Anemone, but we know that the Western side, because of all the memes, it got so popular. Like a lot of the digital sales did really well in the West, and that's why, even though Kagurabachi has it'll have like a stretch of like outside the top 15, but then it'll have one in the top 10. Like recently, it was going off of 10, 11, 14, but then it had one in the top 10, like at 7. So a lot of times you can kind of maybe have like a 5 week where you slip it, but if you get like a couple in that top 10 every couple months, you might last. Plus the digital sales and plus the sales in the West, you might still be able to survive like Kagurabachi.
But I'm curious how much that will change once the big wigs are gone, which is around the corner, right? So the One Pieces, JJK.
It might be more lenient.
At that point, I mean, a lot of the staples of top 10 will be gone. So it's like, it's basically up for grabs to grab the top 10 for all these newer manga that is going to be here for a while.
Real quick, because that led to, because a few days ago I read that one of the top like people in the company that owns Viz and all that, they were saying that Kagurabachi is gonna be what they like try to support to be the leader of the new wave once all the big wigs are gone. So like if Kagurabachi's like wavering like borderline top 10, do you think that's a good thing that they're putting their chips into Kagurabachi panning out?
Here's why I think it could work, is because the top 10 is mostly occupied by things about to end, like My Hero, JJK, and One Piece. Like
so there are spots already.
Every time One Piece has a chapter, it's top 3. It hasn't been outside the top 3 in a long time. My Hero's historically top 5, JJK's historically top 4. Sakamoto Days is also in the top 6-ish. So manga that is either entering the final stages or in the final stages are mostly in the top 10. Which is also kind of like, dang, I'm not in One Piece realm, so I get canceled. I think that's kind of that's a hard. Crazy. It is a harsh standard, but they're trying to, the success they saw with One Piece and Naruto and Bleach, they're like, we need that again. So you need to.
I think once you start chasing it, though, that's a problem.
Well, I'm saying, do you think Kagurabachi can be the face of Shonen Jump and be?
You guys always say Gokuro Kugai. You guys don't say Kagurabachi.
I say Gokuro Kugai.
I would say no. I don't think Kagurabachi can. I think it will be
like one of them, but it can't be like the one.
I think it will be one of those series like, this is no disrespect to Fairy Tail, but like in that generation, like, oh, this is like a good story, but it's not like,
I see what you're saying.
It is not the, you know what I'm saying, as far as popularity. It'll be like a Fairy Tail, maybe a Full Metal, like not saying like the quality, but just like where it ranks amongst the popular shonen in that era.
I think personally, when it comes to Shonen Jump, they're always going to protect their bottom dollar, because at the end of the day, they got to make money. You know, you're going to pour money into these authors. You have an artist. I mean, it has to make sense to them when it terms to finances. Shonen Jump is still a business at the end of the day. But I truthfully think the way they decide too is like how big they think the anime would be. Like for example, Kaiju number 8. I think Kaiju number 8 is bigger now than what I thought it was when it first started. I mean, it got cleared for a video game, already got cleared for season 2. I think they already got cleared for a movie, and that's due to the impact that the launch had. But I also think
Movie?
I don't know for sure, but I think they're about to get the whole lineup, bro.
Are they going to make an original one or?
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. They also have a spinoff.
They can
that
do the
feature,
you're
I want to say they also have a spinoff that features Vice Captain Hoshina, which I think Captain Hoshina is he's probably the most popular character.
I agree.
Think he might be the most
I
popular
agree.
character right now. And so I think he's definitely somebody you can build around for a spinoff. But I think Kaiju number 8, I think already is giving itself a place being that next wave, at least from an anime standpoint. I don't know how many chapters the manga is going to have left before it's over, but I also think it seems like it's starting to come to that climax soon, unless there's another fight. Obviously, there's the issue that Kafka may end up getting, how he may not end up being permanently Kaiju number 8. So there are some factors to how many chapters that can go. But I think honestly, the way that darker type of stories in Shonen Jump have succeeded so well, I think that if Shonen Jump was going to invest their time and animation studios were going to put their time, I think shows like Wild Strawberry, Trojan X, I think Shonen Jump should really invest in those type of stories, because I think the way the JJKs of the world, the Hell's Paradise, Chainsaw Man, the way they had a great launch in the West, I think globally, I think Shonen Jump should probably pivot towards that.
So I guess a question for all you guys: is the one's success with One Punch Man, is that replicable at all?
One
Can
Punch
somebody
Man,
do that?
Shonen Jump.
Yeah, but my problem is I'm talking about. Is there somebody? Do you think it's more possible? Because if you looked at one story to get One Punch Man where it is, where by the way they did a whole arc, didn't like half of it, cut it, and retconned it again, which is crazy. So like, hey, and it's crazy that they did that. But the only thing I'm saying, could we see more people do that in the future? And then now you're looking, maybe you see this amazing story, but it's technically, for lack of a better word, it's like self-employed or self-done. I understand he has a studio working with him, but like the way somebody just literally made something so weirdly great that it became a titan on its own without. It's like Tech Nine becoming a big high selling rapper. He did it by himself. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's probable, because that's an anomaly, but I do think if it were to happen, it would be in this era, because we see not only just about Shonen Jump, but Western or manga outside of Japan, the audiences, they're paying so much attention to them now than ever. Mm-hmm. So I think if there were a time, it would be around this time. Like
the last time I remember something like that happening was Blue Exorcist. Because remember, like the original first season ended a different way, and then there was like a long hiatus, and then they brought back the new version, and they kind of just retconned what happened at the end of the season 1. So like it happens, but it's not common. Because if that was the case, then they would have been redone Tokyo Ghoul, Soul Eater, Promised Neverland. Promised Neverland would have been perfect, because they really lost a whole lot of money on Promised Neverland.
So here's my second question to that. And Ty, we're going to watch it in Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any importance to this thing, this fan made Berserk Black Swordsman arc? Is there anything that we could glean from this? If this is successful,
it's the rise of the indie market. That's all it is right now.
It is.
And we're seeing if it can actually make something of itself.
But this is a huge project, Ty. If they get this right,
if they get this right,
now people are asking questions.
Yeah, it's a possibility. It is a possibility.
Like Lonnie should be watching this like a hawk, because if they can do this, they can do Tokyo Ghoul. They can give you the season 2 Tokyo Ghoul that you.
But the amount of
Tokyo Ghoul, I'm banking on Trojan X. I feel like if Trojan X comes, if the mangaka, because the mangaka's traumatized, they've stated how they don't like the adaptation of Tokyo Ghoul at all. So I don't know if Trojan X will ever get an anime. But if it does get an anime and it's successful, I feel like then they might be okay with a Tokyo Ghoul reboot. Same thing with Soul Eater, like because Fire Force, they retired after Fire Force. So if Fire Force, when that finishes, they might be like, okay, let's reboot Soul Eater. So it's like things can inspire other things. So if this Berserk project is good enough, I could see MAPPA or which studios might be perfect for this to like.
Well, the difference between the tough thing is the difference between like the anime indie market, from my guess, I really actually don't technically know, and like something like an indie movie scene or indie music scene, is that the cost and resources to make an anime is so large, it's very extremely hard to do. Like it takes years to animate something that's like 3 minutes, let alone a whole like arc of something. So you really have to get the backers for that. And I think it's possible with the rise of popularity of anime and manga in today's age, more people would be willing to fund something to be coherent to the story that they want to see animated. So I think it's more possible now, but it's much more difficult than pretty much any kind of entertainment project you can do because of how strenuous making anime is in general.
Sorry.
So we'll have to see.
Yeah, sorry to take us on that tangent, but I'm just always fascinated by how One Punch Man became what it is today. It's so, you're so trash at drawing a manga that it gave you fans because the story was good.
It's an anomaly, yeah, for sure.
That's the simplest way to say it, and I say that sentence all the time, and I can't believe it.
And one thing I do want to bring up, and then we can move on to agenda hour, is I'm curious, based off the rankings you said, Ty, where does it value more infrequent publishing of manga, right? For example, Chojin X publishes every like 3-4 weeks. Goku Rakugai is a monthly manga. But these manga, from my point of view, we all know they're going to last. I don't think there's any worry that these manga are not going to last, but they're not weekly. So I don't think they will get the same push because they're not as relied upon to see every single week and get those views every single week. So I'm curious to see how they play into like the more infrequent publishing in terms of the value and their ranking. Because like I said, I'm a Goku Rakugai guy. I think that is the next big thing, but it's a monthly manga, so it's very hard to really judge.
Doesn't Kaiju number 8 suffer from that? Because I never know when it's coming out. It just pops up on my
Kaiju number 8 was better in the beginning.
The rank is not that I'm looking at. They're for weekly Shonen Jump, so monthly manga is not the only manga that is included in that's not every single week is like JJK and my One Piece, because like they get breaks, but everything else is weekly. And I actually had a fun fact about One Piece in these rankings. Yep. Try to guess when's the last time it ranked outside the top 3. Try to guess the year.
2005.
2019. What's like then the last time it ranked outside the top 3 was 2019. The last time it ranked outside the top 5 was 2008. The last time it ranked top 10 or worse is 1997, and it was at 10.
Damn.
So it ranked in 25 years.
That's crazy.
Over 25 years, it ranked number 10 once. Ever since then, it's been top 10. It's ranked outside the top 5 last time almost 20 years ago. So One Piece
say we need to lock in. We can never let this happen again.
You know what's so crazy about this? And this, you know what? We see those interviews always be like, I'm going to end it in 5 years. I'm in 10 years, but it always expands. I think there's like, hold on a second. Oh, you're not going anywhere. I know you want to end a story. Keep writing. Like, add some extra stuff. Expand. Because to me, I was looking at these ratings like, I keep seeing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for 20 straight years. Why would they ever tell him to end it 5 years ago? Like, or 10 years ago?
I'm curious.
Doesn't he? What about his health, man? He's been putting in the same amount of work Miura was putting in.
Oh,
Miura
man. Listen, man. They just start getting folks breaks recently. Like,
thanks.
My boy is in terrible danger.
I'm curious to see what
y'all
happened.
Keep asking questions, and you keep putting your man Oda's health in danger. But y'all just want to know more. Y'all just keep asking more questions, bro. What if you just try to draw something nice? And y'all just like, what does this mean?
It's too late.
How does this affect Luffy's legacy? Can Luffy beat the world government with this? Like,
it's too late for that. Oda can't back out now.
Yeah, he can't back out. And
I think that something similar happened with Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball was the One Piece of that era. It was always in the top 5. So that's why I probably say, hey, Toriyama, can you write Super? Like, So if One Piece
It's kind of
has a sequel, don't be surprised. That's all.
That's
I'll say.
why I'm curious about
Mm.
what happened with Naruto, because like Bleach, Fullbring arc was like the lull period. Like that's why we all understand why it went down. Naruto, I don't think based off the manga, it had a Fullbring level arc. I think all of it was still good.
But here's the thing. So Naruto also was always high, and that's why we got Boruto. Like So if you think about it for a second, Dragon Ball always top 5 Super. Naruto's always top 5 Boruto. Bleach fell off a bit, so it ended. One Piece, Oda thinks, but he thinks it's gonna end. Always top 5, keeps going. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that they're like, hold on a second. If this keeps ranking top 3 every year, every week, you're not about to leave this. You're not about to leave. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Do y'all think it's more so because they don't really have anything to fill the void if those were to just end in those 5-year periods or 10-year periods?
It's a little bit of both.
Could be.
Yeah, I agree.
You can tell they've tried to look right. They keep shooting at but I think obviously who could have thought that One Piece would be this dominant for this long, right? Even the most optimistic fan reading in 97 was not going to be like, this thing is still top 3 in 2025, about to be 2025.
Yeah.
So
I don't think they could have foresaw that.
So maybe they just like in a weird way. I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring up your Glorious King, J-Rob. Maybe it's just like you just keep going, so you just keep counting on it, and then by the time that maybe it is time to be done, you were never adequately prepared. You know what I mean? Because LeBron just keeps playing well.
LeBron at all.
Yeah, that was.
You didn't have to mention LeBron at all.
But I'm just saying, you get like an athlete that plays so long, but they play well, and then you just never prepare for when it's actually time to be done.
Yeah.
I think it's also one of those things where it doesn't seem like stories are long anymore either. You got Naruto at 700, Bleach at about 700, One Piece at 1100. It just seems like stories are ending way faster. So Shonen Jump may have a little bit of adapting to do because they might not get that thing that just lasts for 10, 15, 20 years. Those days just might be up.
Yeah, that was what One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto ranking that high for 15 plus. That's not that they weren't prepared for that to happen for those 3 specifically. And also you had Hunter in there that was also doing really well. Like those 4, they were not prepared for that. So like they're like, hold on a second. Now my hero always ended so fast. They will probably that's why they're probably doing things like Viz, reaching out to people outside Japan. They try to find something.
Well, I think it's also because of like society's change. Like we're like a much more faster paced society. We take things, we want things a lot more faster, like right now type stuff. We want anime faster. We want food faster. Like everything we want it like as fast as possible. So that's why I think like a lot of these stories are more short because it's what people want. Short, hard hitting stories. Like Cyberpunk Edge Runner is just a perfect example. It has like 10 episodes, but it hits as hard as plenty of manga or anime that has like hundreds of chapters or 200 episodes, stuff like that. It hits just as hard. So it's like I feel like that's just the new wave of media consumption, and Shonen Jump just has to adapt.
No, give me long form storytelling, man. So we'll move on. We'll move on.
I was gonna be like,
we did enough. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into Agenda Hour.